being mothers, grandmothers, stepmothers, godmothers, and wannabe mothers. The second thing is, I'm going to, in my talk, eventually to cassocks. This is a cassock. It's the robe the priests used to wear until somebody invented these purple shirts in the 60s. But these are what I'm talking about when I talk about cassocks, okay? It's the robe the priests used to wear. And some of them still do. I do only on occasions. In July of 2 years ago, a group of teenage girls went to the home of one girl who had a swimming pool in her backyard. And they had a swimming pool party. And one of the girls of this parish, a girl named Tara Asinda. And when Tara dove into the pool, something happened, and she was injured immediately. And they had trouble getting her out of the pool, and they had to rush her to Kings Highway Hospital. The doctors examined her, and they finally said, she has a broken spinal cord. She will never walk again. Take her home. Well, they didn't take that for an answer, so they went over to, the family went over to New York University Hospital, Mental in Manhattan, and there the experts examined her, the same thing. She is paralyzed from the neck down. She will never walk again. If she does, there's just a 2% chance of that. Take her home and take care of her. So they weren't taking this for the answer either, so they got her into rehab, and for the last almost 2 years now, she's been working in rehab, and she's making progress, but she's not there yet. Last 2 weeks ago, rather really 3 weeks ago, on Easter Sunday morning, at the 8 o'clock Mass, the people of President came up to receive communion at the altar. And at the last one was a girl coming up in one of those walkers. And she was obviously having trouble, but she was walking. And her father was behind her to catch her as she fell. It was Tara. She had decided that she was going to walk to the altar and receive communion like anybody else. Well, something happened. It was very silent in the church. The church was full. Very silent until her father helped her into the wheelchair. And this church then erupted into tremendous applause. In my 40 years here, I have never experienced a solemn meeting like that, a moment like that. It just brought tears to my eyes. And I think Father Tom cried too. And so did a lot of the people. Because they had seen a miracle take place in this church and in this side. A girl who was told she would never walk, now walked up and received communion. She is still in therapy. She had encouragement a few months later, a few months ago, when she was able to wiggle her big toe. It was progress, and progress has continued to be made. We have seen a miracle take place. And the reason why it did was because when I first encountered this whole situation, I encouraged Tara and her family to get in touch with Father Marsh, who was a priest here from 1972 until 1980. And in those 8 years, he wrapped this place into glory. What a priest he was. He took the gospel message of Christ. If you love one another, love one. If you are my disciples, follow one and love one another. And by that he meant the poor. So Father Marsh assembled the poor to himself, and he's like the Pied Piper with all those kids following him. The poor, the sick, the invalids, the distressed, the hungry, all of them were his parishioners, and he worked with them and did well. He had no use at all for money. His clothes were a little bit better than rags, but not too much better. And yet, they were good enough for him. He wasn't interested in changing. But the people felt sorry about that. And they see the sweater he's wearing was ragged, was faded, holes in the elbows, you know. Or the shoes that were cracked, soles had holes in them, all from walking out in the snow and the rain and everywhere. He didn't have a car, he didn't know how to drive, and he walked everywhere. Boy, those feet did work. So, in one time, a family saw this, and they went out and they bought him a sweater. And somebody else bought him shoes. And they brought them to the rectory and gave them to him, because they knew if they just gave him the money to buy the sweater, he'd give the money away. So they couldn't do that. They gave him the sweater, And 10 minutes after they were out the rectory door, he was out behind them because he knew somebody who needed a sweater or a pair of shoes. And this was Father Marsh. He just gave away everything. When he celebrated his 50th anniversary, we had a big celebration for him at one of the catering halls. And you know what? He didn't want to go. I finally had to sort of say, you have to go. These people love you, and they are going to be offended and insulted if you don't show up. So he showed up, and all the people came up and they hugged him and he had a great time. But he was suffering short, I'm sure. When he came home, all those envelopes that the people had given him, he opened them up, took all the checks and money out of them, assembled it, and 2 days later gave it to the pastor here. Here, this is for the poor of the parish of St. Vincent de Paul Society. He didn't want money. He didn't need money. He had the rags he was wearing. I could keep you in Thursday telling you stories about it, but I won't do that. But I want to tell you a couple of them. One of them was, we have a system in our rectory at least, that each priest is on duty one particular day. He's there for phone calls, people coming to the rectory to speak to priest, hear the confessions, whatever it is, there's a priest there for. And we take our turns in doing that. One time, Father Marsh was on duty, and it must have been Easter or a holiday, because a 10-year-old girl rang the rectory bell. And when Father Marsh opened the door, she said, Father, can I talk to you? And he said, yeah, come on in. So he brought her into the rectory office, sat her down, and the two of them sat and looked at one another. And after silence, he realized something's wrong here. So he said, what's your name, sweetheart? So she told her her name. He asked her another question, how many sisters and brothers do you have? How are you doing in school? What do you want to be when you grow up? All the questions that you would ask, trying to elicit some conversation. And she answered the questions, but that was it. She sat there. So finally he said, you know, is there any reason why you came to the rectory today? And she said, yes. I know you're on duty today and you're here alone. And I thought you'd be lonely. So I came up to keep you company. Not bad for a 10-year-old. Another time, a mother told me the story. Her daughter, Father Marsh used to go to these kindergarten, the first grade in school every Monday morning, tell the kids all about God. And one Monday morning, a woman woke up, her daughter said, Tom, get up and get ready to go to school. She said, I don't feel good today. And the mother said, all right, stay in bed and you'll be all right. And the girl said, I can't stay in bed today. Father Marsh comes to the school today. I'll go to school today. I'll be sick tomorrow. But all the people love this man for reason, because he just was a marvelous, marvelous man. If he was on duty and there was a sick call to the Cape Highway Hospital at 2 o'clock in the morning, he didn't have a car. He wouldn't embarrass anybody or ask anybody to drive him there. He walked that distance at 2 o'clock in the morning with his broken shoes and everything, because people wanted him not as much as people wanted God, and he wanted the chance to bring God to them. The reason I mention all this is because after Tara's miracle took place, I was sitting over there, and Father Elias came over and said, you got to say something. Tell them who Father Marsh was. So I mentioned a few words to the people about it, but just a few words because I wasn't prepared. But I realized that I had to talk to these people about that. Because in this parish now, most of the people here who knew Father Marsh are gone. They moved or they died. And the old folks are dying off, and I'm going with them. But soon we're going to have a parish that has nobody who knew this man, and that's a shame. So I'm talking today to introduce you to Father Marsh, so that he can become part of your life, and have you praying for him. Now remember, when you pray, every time you pray, there are 1 of 3 answers to your prayer. There's a yes, great. There's a no, which you don't want. And there's a third answer, not now. God decides that what you want, okay, but you're not ready for it yet, or the circumstances are right, or I have something different in mind for you. So the thing is, no matter what the answer is, you just keep praying. Tara did, and now she's beginning to walk. And you can do the same too. In preparation for this talk today, I got a committee together where at the entrances and exits of the church is a bulletin board with a picture of Father Marsh on it, giving Holy Communion to some little boy at his first communion, which we had yesterday. But that's not that picture. That boy is now probably about 40 years old. So that's the first thing we did. Then we put his picture on the cover of today's bulletin. Now, I understand we're running out of the bulletin. They're going to have enough for everybody. When I told them the rectory to order 200 more, oh, we don't need 200 more. We get 800, they're not all taken. Well, they're all taken today. So you're all taking Father Marsh home with you, which is free. But then the third thing is, I got a little memorial card through the courtesy of McManus Funeral Home of the Good Shepherd, which we think is Father Marsh. And on it is affixed a little piece of material. We took Father Marsh's old cassock, cut the lining out of it, and cut it into little pieces. And a little piece of this thing is put on each card, which we ask you to take over today. Please, we're running out of them too. We want to be sure that everybody gets one. So please only take one. And if there are any left over, they'll be available to you next week at the Mass at the gift shop or at the rectory during the week. But Father Marsh is your priest. We're one of the this is one of the finest parishes in the diocese, whether you know it or not. And Father Marsh is one of the reasons why his spirit is here, even though he's been gone 34 years. There's a monument out in front of the rectory of the Curé of Ars, John Baptist Vianney, who was the patron saint of parish priests. And when Father Marsh died, he had died, he was dead about 3 years when a delegation came to me from the Holy Society, and they said, we want to do something to memorialize Father Marsh. So we kicked it around a bit and tried to decide. We put that monument out there. And the Holy Name Society, collecting just volunteer donations, was able to pay for that as a memorial to Father Marsh. He guards our rectory, he guards our people, he guards our church, he guards you. He was an marvelous man. Please get him into your prayers. So I'd like to, if you would, we think there would be 800,000 people at Mass this morning. I'm asking each of you, to prepare this talk, I said the Hail Mary, and I timed it without rushing. It took me 13 seconds to say the Hail Mary. And I'm asking you people to each morning, or sometime during the day, not just today, but for months from now, each day, would you please pray for Tara, and also for Ronnie Taylor, who was also one of my enrollments in Father